Hey everyone, it's Lexie. So in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you all the books that I hope to read in the month of June. So June's going to be a bit of a different month for me in terms of adjustments, just because I'll be starting my residency on June 4th, which is I'm really excited about, but also very nervous. So we'll see how everything turns out. So I have 5 books on my TBR, so I think that one's a reasonable amount. Usually when I'm at school, I usually do a book a week, and then one's kind of a collection of poems. So I think this is like a reasonable thing, and yeah, I'm really excited for a couple of these books on here. And before I forget, before we get started, I also want to let you guys know that I also, on my vlog channel, which I'll link up in the cards and down below, is that I've kind of done a monthly vlog compilation, which is something a little bit different, and I think it'll be interesting to see how it all changes, and I think this will be a fun thing for me to look back on. So it's just a compilation of everything that happened in May. So yeah, if you're interested, go and check that out. Like I said, I'll have it linked down below if you're interested. Don't forget to subscribe to that as well. I do post some little snippets in there as well. So yeah, without further ado, let's get started. So the 4 main books that I have on here are ones that have been on my shelf for a while that I just kind of want to get read, so then they'll be out of the way, so then I can read some of the newer books I'm excited about. And so you probably are tired of me talking about these, but I'm like, this is the month where I get most of them done, and I think there's maybe like 3 or 4 more after this, so I will hopefully be getting to the newer ones I'm excited about, hopefully by the end of the summer. And so this first one is The Aviator's Wife by Melanie Benjamin, and this is one I talked about. I think I remember talking about it back when I was at school. And so basically it follows a person named Annie Marrow, who, it says, is a shy college senior with hidden literary aspirations, travels to Mexico City to spend Christmas with her family. She meets Colonel Charles Lindbergh, fresh off his celebrated 1927 solo flight across the Atlantic. Enthralled by Charles' assurance and fame, Anne is certain the aviator has scarcely noticed her, but she is wrong. Charles sees in Annie a kindred spirit, a fellow adventurer, and her world will be forever changed. So I think this one is interesting. I think it's loosely based off of the true story of these 2 people. And so I'll be interested to see, maybe it'll have a little feminist twist in how women were kind of treated back then, and like the role that women were expected to have in a marriage. So I think this one will be interesting, and it's fairly short. It's under 400 pages, so it's like, yeah, I hopefully will be able to pick this one up soon. And like I said, I want to kind of get these ones off of my TBR because I've just been staring at them on my bookshelf for far too long. So this is one I talked about I wanted to read back, I want to say in February, but I just never got around to reading it. And it's one that I'm actually really excited about. And it is My Sister's Grave by Robert Dugoni. And it's about a girl named Tracy who has spent basically the past 20 years kind of questioning the facts surrounding her sister's murder, and how the trial and everything took place, because she thinks that the person who was convicted was not the murderer. So now she is a detective, and she's focusing on this as well. So it says so she becomes a homicide detective with the Seattle PD and dedicated her life to tracking down killers. So when Sarah's remains are finally discovered near their hometown in the northern Cascade Mountains of Washington State, Tracy is determined to get the answers she's been seeking. As she searches for the real killer, she unearths dark, long-kept secrets that forever change her relationship to her past and open the door to deadly danger. So I think this one will be really interesting. As you know, I'm a big sucker for crime novels, so I think this one will be really interesting, and I've heard really great reviews of this on Goodreads, and also Amazon as well, so I'm really excited for this one. So these next 2 are historical fiction reads. So this first one here is Finding Rebecca by Eoin Dempsey. So it basically says, nothing can keep Christopher and Rebecca apart, not their abusive parents or even the fiancé she brought home after running away to England. But when World War II finally strikes the island of Jersey, the Nazi invaders ship Rebecca to Europe as part of Hitler's final solution against the Jewish population. After Christopher and his family are deported back to their native Germany, he volunteers for the Nazi SS, desperate to save the woman he loves. He is posted to Auschwitz and finds himself put in control of the money stolen from the victims of the gas chambers. As Christopher searches for Rebecca, he struggles to not only to maintain his cover, but also the grip of his soul. So I think this one will be really interesting, and also kind of a moral, moral dilemma, and what would you do in this situation? So I think this one will be really interesting to see how it all plays out. And this one is fairly short. It's just over 300 pages, so you know, I'm a sucker for historical fiction, especially everything kind of surrounding World War II, so I think this one will be a really unique read. And this is another World War II historical fiction novel, and it is Once We Were Brothers by Ronald H. Balson. So it basically follows two brothers growing up in Germany and how each brother kind of took their own path during the war. One ended up becoming like a really big Nazi supporter and like an officer there, and the other one becomes a part of like the resistance, I think is how it is. So I think this one will be really interesting, and just seeing how two brothers who grow up in the same household, how that like how they could choose these two different paths, and like how this would play out, and like how they were on opposite sides of the Holocaust, I think will be really interesting. So this one I think will be a really good just thing to watch in nature versus nurture as well. So I have really high expectations for this one as well. So this is one that my sister got me back in May as a graduation present, and it's a little different than what I typically read just for pleasure, but she is a big reader as well, and she's gotten really into poetry, so this is one that she picked up, and it is Platter by Najwa Zebian. I think that's how you pronounce her name. So basically this is just a collection of little poems about kind of figuring out your life and just kind of all that fun stuff. So, and it's not like Milk and Honey where it's just like one sentence or like a couple sentences. It's actually like there's some depth to these poems, as you can see. So I think this one will be really interesting, and stepping outside of my like reading comfort zone for this, so I'll be interested to see how I think about it, just because the last time I read poetry I think was back in high school, so it's been a while. So yeah, I think this one will be really interesting to see how it all plays out and like what I think about it. So, and I really love this cover, so I don't know, we'll see. This one, it could be a diamond in the rough for me. That's it, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know in the comments below if you have read any of these books or what you will be reading this month and all of that fun stuff. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you guys next time. Bye, guys.